Hello and welcome to the Rebirth Part 3 on the Soulful Shift podcast. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're here on the podcast or on my YouTube channel. All right, Part 3. This is probably, oh God, they're all my favorites, but really diving in this episode. What happens when you go through the void? What happens in the period after you are in stillness? Because in my experience, people underestimate how powerful, transformative, and amazing it is when you do allow yourself to be in stillness and you are supported throughout that process. So, I'm going to talk about what actually happened. So, what happened with me? And so, I went into this number of months of stillness, as I talked about in part 2. And I don't want to go back into all those details. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But what happens? What happens when you spend that time in contemplation, in a place of neutrality, looking at your life, is you come out a different person. And that's what happened with me. Now, I have a large amount of inner trust. Trust myself above and beyond anyone in this world. And that is something I cultivated every single time I went into the void, every single time I sat in stillness, because that's what happens. Because in that space, if you think about it, what I did was I sat and I just asked myself my opinion on everything. Like I literally asked myself, okay, Andrea, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about this? Like, how do you feel about how you're showing up here? I asked myself all these questions and I listened to myself. So when something came up and I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel like it's in alignment with me, I listened, I responded. Like I dealt with things. The examples I gave was increased my supplements and I moved and created some space between me and a friend. And I did this everywhere in my life. And, I used to have this analogy. I used to say to people, imagine if you had somebody in your life, say it was a best friend or say it was a partner, that it was always telling you how they felt about something or what they wanted, and you kept ignoring that person. So say somebody said to you, like, I really appreciate it if um, you gave me some words of affirmation, okay? Say your partner said that to you. Or say that you said that to your partner and then your partner completely ignored you. How would you feel? But this is what we do with ourselves. We have all these feelings about how we feel about everything in our life. Then we just completely ignore it. Well, in the void, what you do is you actually listen to yourself. And what happens is you actually build a relationship with yourself. That is the gold. And God, it is so undervalued because every single time you listen to yourself and you trust yourself, you build this deep, deep, deep sense of inner trust. This is how you become unshakable. This is how you become so resilient that any step that you take, you can, quote unquote, like have the ability to handle it. You see, for me to step into my new level of my business, which is a new level, I had to build a deeper trust with myself because it's a higher level. I'm doing higher level work now. How do you do that? How you just can't jump into that. So in that time, what I did was I built this trust within myself and I built my power. As I said in episode or part number 2, we are always looking for the answers. We're looking for how to come into alignment. What is the way forward? What do I need to do? When actually so much of the process is eliminating all the noise. So by eliminating all the noise, I can listen to myself. Every time I said, I don't like how I'm showing up here, or I don't like how this person's treating me, and I reacted and responded differently, I just built this trust within myself. And you do this enough times, and it gets deeper and deeper every single time, is that you just realize that all that really matters is how I feel about myself. Like that's it. That's life. What life really is. When you think about it, how do you create success? Like, how do you? you care most about what you think of yourself. So in that time, I built a deeper sense of trust with myself. Now, like I said, I had this deep sense of trust before, but not like this, not to this level. Because, the reason why we don't get the answers, this is so important, is we're blocking it. There's some reason we're blocking the answers because we are accepting less than what we want. I stopped accepting less than what I wanted. And I stopped making excuses for other people. And I stopped making excuses for myself. The behaviors that I didn't like. Remember those 4 questions. Who am I? Who am I not? What am I available for? And what am I not available for? And I built this trust. Like I've got my own back. I've got my own back. Because we don't do that in this world, right? And so when you can sit in stillness and actually just listen to your own thoughts and then follow through on your own thoughts, you just prove to yourself that you matter more than anyone else and you become powerful. That is actually what gets created, is this sense of power. And this is not something anybody has ever given to you, because power can't actually be given to you, right? Authority, you can be given authority over something. You can have power over because of a position, like in a company or something, but that's not true power. How is true inner power built? It's built by listening to yourself and actually living your life by listening to yourself at such a deep level that the trust you build can't be shaken by anybody. So you become, and this is what happened with me, I became so much more grounded, so much more certain, so much more present with myself because I gave myself the space to slow down. So before I even got the answer, before I even knew what the step was, I became this super resilient, super trusting, super badass, powerful self to a new level I've never seen before. And it's just like, and what happens in that time is, ironically enough, is the answer to what I wanted in my business became smaller. It became smaller. It was still important. Do not get me wrong. However, what became more important was who I became. That's the journey through. And that's why I will keep saying that 2025 has been the most beautiful year, because I have come more fully into myself. And that's what alignment is. I think it's so misunderstood. But you achieve alignment on the inside first. It is not something that we go chasing on the outside. The outside comes. Let me tell you, it comes. But it comes so quickly. And this is going to be part 4. I'm going to explain how the answer did come, which is so fun. It becomes fun. And that's actually the best word to describe it. It actually becomes fun. Something else I want to share in here that happened as a result of all this, and this happened during the time, is when you listen to yourself and you build that trust and you build that power, people notice it. And this is where it does get really fun. People actually notice it. They respond to you differently. This is one of the first ways you can tell you're shifting and transforming, not because all your goals got achieved or everything landed in the outside world. No, actually, that's comes a little bit further along. At first, we get these little hints. So what started to happen with me is people started to respond a lot more different. I started to get a lot more attention. I would go out in public and I'd get a lot more compliments. And I shouldn't say I've always, since I've been more in my power, I get a lot of compliments. I get a lot of really cool synchronicities, like just people being really kind to me. I've had a lot of strangers approach me in public, just be really kind. A lot of things like that have been happening to me for years. But this went next level. Like this went next level. And that's what starts to happen when you allow yourself to sit in this beautiful space of nothing. And that's some of the first hints that you're changing. We think it's always going to be this, this like light in the sky, right? And like I said, the reveal does come of what you need to do next, your next physical steps. But the first signs that the physical steps are coming and the reveal is coming and the knowing is coming is these little things start to fall into place. Life gets easier. Life just starts to feel more effortless. It's one of the biggest things that started to happen. Everything just started to feel even easier because things were already feeling pretty easy before then, but it just felt easier. Like everything just falls into place. And as I said, life just begins to become more fun. So, what I also said in part 3 is that when we don't have the answer and we want the answer, like, what is my next step? What should I do to get to where I'm going? Often it's because we actually don't have the capacity to do what's needed, to take the steps, or we don't have the capacity to hold whatever we're going to hold next. Because if you're a leader right now and you're wanting to move up, if that's the case for you, if you're wanting to move up onto the next level, it is going to take a stronger you. It is going to take a more resilient you. It is going to take a more powerful you. You need to be able to hold more power. You need to be able to hold more people potentially. You need to hold potentially more responsibility, more money. All those things take more of you. We don't think of those things often, right? We just want something. So what I was also doing in this time was I was building this capacity in myself, clearing out all the noise, clearing out all the stuff that wasn't feeling good. And again, once I started clearing all that, all these cool things did start to come in. And that's a really cool sign. And it's one of the first signs that we receive that the bigger stuff is going to start to come in because we have more capacity for it. Coming into alignment is really so much more about stopping doing what you shouldn't be doing and stopping being who you no longer are. Because the only way to receive the next level is to actually eliminate who we are no longer. And that's what the void is about. And it just becomes a bit of a byproduct. It's just kind of what happens. It's a beautiful process. So yeah, I came out just feeling more trustworthy, feeling more powerful, feeling more resilient, more capacity, like just unapologeticness about me that I didn't have before. It was a very much a deeper, deeper level. And this is the things about alignment that we can't necessarily know unless we've experienced it. It feels very nebulous at times. It can feel very like, how do we even grasp onto that? Right. And I understand that. All I can say, it's like life becomes more colorful. It's like if I think about how I felt at the beginning of the process, life felt a little bit in black and white. And at the end, it was these vibrant hues. Everything just felt more alive. And isn't that what we all want? Right? We want the things we want because we want to feel differently. And before I even got the answer, I already felt different. Yet, of course, the irony is that's when the answer comes in. So, in part number 4, I'm going to go deep into how does the reveal come? How did it come for me? And why is it? Why is it that it comes the way it does? Because this is the way the road to alignment works. This is the way the road to success works. All right, beautiful soul. I will see you in the next episode. Take care.